Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Sri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Cha Vaidyakena Yopakarottam Pravaram Muninam Patanjali Pranjalina Natosmi. Hari Om. In the Yoga Shastra, we are at the crossroads of understanding how the yogi tries to meditate and go into higher realms of consciousness. We have two types of worlds in front of us. One, the world of senses all around, which is well known to us. We see, we touch, we smell, we hear. Five senses, five indriyas, give us some idea about the universe and we are comfortable with it. We don't feel like questioning whether the world that I see is the real world or it is not the real world. And that is because it suffices, it is sufficient to know the world through the senses, and I'm able to transact in the world. I see a beautiful car, it makes me happy, so I go and pay some money and buy the car. The man who receives the money looks at the currency, a paper, and feels very happy about it. So what happened in this transaction is one person used the eyes to see, another person also used the eyes to see the currency. Both are happy and they feel they have seen the world or transacted in the world. The question is it the real world? Is what we see or what we perceive through five senses is the final world, or it is different? Let us take an example to understand. One drishtanta should make us understand very clearly how our understanding of the world is very, very poor. Let us take example of a rose, a gulab, rose. When we look at the rose, first thing we note is it has a name called R-O-S-E, rose, which in itself means nothing but arbitrarily associated couple of alphabets to that object. If I ask you, show me the rose, R-O-S-E, you will show the object. But if I ask you, don't show me the object, you said a word rose, show me word rose, You will say there is nothing called world rose. Rose means this object. When you say cow, COW has no meaning, but COW together is implanted, is transcribed on the object called cow, and we say she is a cow. But if I say show me cow, COW, it has no existence by itself. It is a mere pronouncement of some sound creating a particular word. So the name is always an arbitrarily pronounced and associated convention to a particular object. Second is, if I say a rose, then it has a form. It is a typical flower. It is not too big like lotus. It is not too small like another flower. It is a rose size flower. So there is a size, that means form. A rose can be red, blue, red, black, or faint red or pink. So that means it has a color. When I smell the rose, it has a particular smell. That means by form, that is eyes, by color, the eyes again, the smell, the olfaction, the nose, granendriya, by different faculties, that is indriyas, I perceive a rose into different sense organs. Again, two roses are not same, and different roses are different varieties are also there, but I take all that as what is called as irreducible minimum to call it a rose. The third thing is, if a rose is given to a physicist, he will say it is made up of atoms and molecules, which is completely different than the image that I had of the rose on my mind. So when the rose undergoes the nuclear chamber microscope, what is seen is not a rose. What is seen is atoms and molecules. The color is gone, the shape is gone, the smell is gone. That means the same rose is now giving a different mental image. Also, when I say rose, I am aware of rose as a particular type of all roses in the world, or simultaneously referred when I say a rose. When I say the rose, it also means all the roses are understood by my intellect. Now, if one pronunciation of word called rose can create so many different aspects, can we claim that we know the real rose? Can we claim that we know the real cow? In fact, the perception of the things in the world, they are all nothing but the play of images on the mind. One of the reasons why same thing causes pleasure to somebody and displeasure to another person. Suppose I have a fountain pen with me, it will not create any reaction in me because I will look at it as a fountain pen, it just writes. But if it is a fountain pen given to me by my fiancée, suddenly I feel, oh, this pen is so dear to me. And if the same pen has poked you in your eye, you hate that particular pen. Now what happened is, object is only one, perceived in different ways. Why? Because the object has created a different image in the mind. It is enough if we understand that the whole world is nothing but the play of images, pratima, in our mind or the brain, and it is the interplay of images that we call the world. even now while listening to what I'm speaking, you have an image of mine in your mind. It could be whatever, good, bad, this, that, intelligent, non-intelligent, dumb, whatever it, boring, exciting, whatever it may be, but there is an image associated with me, and your entire image creation is happening through your senses. So your eyes are working, your nose is working, your smell is working, your touch is working, your listening is working, and the images are created. A constant recording of images is happening on the brain, and the constant play of those images is what the world is all about. If you come across an image that is already seen earlier, it immediately elicits a response to the image. Oh, that man, again I saw the man, he's a bad man. The bad man experience of the past from the Smriti is replayed moment the image is again seen. In short, images on the mind created through senses and the response elicited out of those images is our world. That is where the definition of our world ends. The question is whether it is the real world or not. Can I claim that I know the handkerchief very well? All I know is it is a textile item used to wipe the face or whatever. But is this enough to know the true nature of this particular item? It is sufficient to be in this world with this much information that this is a handkerchief. That information is sufficient to live in the world. But that doesn't mean that this is the correct knowledge of this particular item. Why? Because this item is made up of something, that which is made up of something is again made up of something. Then comes the question, what is the real nature of a thing or an object? And world is made up of only objects. Objects and their interrelationship is world. Who makes this world? The images on the mind. That means who creates the world? The mind creates the world. If the mind creates the world, then we also heard that the world, the Srushti, is created by Bhagavan, the Ishvara. Then if Ishvara has created the world and my mind also creates the world, which is the real world? And a study to penetrate into our existing world to find out the real world is yoga. Yoga abhyasa is nothing else but whatever we see around, trying to find the real nature of that particular object or the world. Now, you don't have to study all the world. Study one object and it will open the secret of the entire world. One of the famous philosophers of the Western world, Immanuel Kant, he also studied this in his philosophy, and he said, I never know what I know because I do not know the real nature of anything. All I have is a mental image, which is limited, which is very, very subjective. Why there is fight between two people everywhere in this world, the husband and the wife, two friends, nobody has same opinion except the yogis. The Jivan Muktas do not fight with each other. Why? Because they have only one understanding, while everybody else has different understanding. Different understanding means different mental images. That means none whatsoever in this world except this saintly person or the rishis or the munis. No one knows the real nature of the world or the object. Now the question is, how do you know the real nature of the object? All our sadhana in one single sentence can be described as a desperate attempt made by the knower, the subject, to know the object correctly and fully. And when you know the real nature of any object, it is called jnana. I have the jnana of this handkerchief. But what is the jnana? It is a textile item used for wiping the face. This is not the jnana. This is called as vyavahara jnana or the laukika jnana. Whatever my mind can comprehend this item, it gives me some sense of knowledge. And it is enough for this in this world to transact. But this is laukika jnana or the vyavahara jnana. This is not the true nature of the object or what is called as sat jnana. If this is the case, then what comes to the mind is, how do I know the precise nature of an object? All our attempts in Adhyatma are nothing else but to know the true nature of an object. And an investigation into the true nature of an object leads to what is called as consciousness or Chaitanya. We all know that by now, by rote, by just memorizing, by just listening, we all know that every single pravachana, every orator says that the world is full of only consciousness. There is only Atman. There is Brahman. There is nothing else. Brahmam Satyam Jagan Mithya. We all hear that. We nod our head also as if we understand. But what are they trying to say? They are trying to say that if this whole world is only consciousness or Chaitanya, then even this object is not a handkerchief, it is consciousness. Even the person who is speaking is not a subject, it is consciousness. If everything is consciousness, then how do I perceive it? Why am I not able to see a handkerchief and say that, oh, I saw the consciousness? Because my eyes can see handkerchief, my eyes cannot see the consciousness inside it. My eyes can see Pradeep Kumarji as a person, Himanshuji as a person. But I don't say when I meet Himanshuji, hello consciousness, how are you? No. Why? Because I'm convinced that he is Himanshuji, not consciousness. Theoretically, I say that it is all Chaitanya, Atma Tattva, Brahman, fine. But when we meet, good morning, how are you? You. We don't say how are consciousness. That means we do not have any acquaintance with the consciousness or the real nature of any subject or object. Yoga Shastra is a science of finding out the true nature of the universe. True nature of any object means true nature of universe. One object is enough. How is it that by knowing one object, you will know whole universe? How it is possible? Because objects are different. The car is different. The stone is different. The animal is different. Then how can only one object? Because the fundamental principle is all these are effects. Cause is one. All these are effects. Cause is one. So instead of knowing all the effects, if you know the cause, all effects will be automatically known. And to know the cause, take any one effect, you will know the cause. That means you will know all the objects. This fundamental discovery made by our rishis and munis in centuries before They realized this and they started taking one object in front of them to focus their mind so that through that one object, whole universe will be known. Initially, they took the object and the object becomes sanctified. The object become worshipable. Why? Because now it is going to show me the key or the secret to the universe. So the object became God. The object became some shape which I like. So it became a murti of Narayana, Hari, Vithala. But through that murti, which is actually a stone or whatever it may be, a small murti, but through that object, by concentrating my mind on that object, I started opening one by one the layers of that object and entered into higher and higher realms of consciousness. This is called going inward. In the world, we go outward. How do you know you are going outward? Whenever you use the five indriyas, you are going outward. Paranchikhani vitrunat swayambhu. Kathopanishad. If I'm using any of my five sense organs, I am going outward. And the yoga starts with inward. And that means inward journey can start only when the five indriyas are shut up. That is the reason why meditation is done by closing the eyes in a silent room where there's no sound. Why we are all doing this? Because these five indriyas may connect again with the outer world. So first you stop the connection, physical connection with the outer world. But the physical connection alone does not work, because you may not be having a music playing besides you while meditating, but the music can still play in the mind, because mind is also an indriya. So what does this mean? If I have to go inward, I have to close the faculties of my indriyas as well as the mano vyavahara, transactions of the mind, so that I'm cut off from the external world. This practice of cutting off from the external world is called vairagya. If I'm attached to the things outside, and then if I'm sitting in meditation, my mind may not see that object, a Ferrari, my eyes may not see, but she's sitting inside my mind, so my mind will go and attach to the Ferrari. So I have to detach from all the objects and their attachment. This detachment is vairagya. Lesser the contact of sense organs with the objects in the world, and dissolving the impressions of those contacts in the mind, smriti, then the person becomes ready for higher journey. Mind well, journey is a separate thing and preparation for the journey is a separate thing. Preparation is detaching from the external world, which includes all the relations, all everything. It does not mean killing others or going into the jungle. It only means remain in the world with the minimum involvement required for sustenance of the body or the duties of the society, and practice solitude wherein you will be in a position to utilize your antakarana or the mind as a focused instrument. Only vairagya alone will not work, because the mind that is focusing on to go in the inward journey has to be very pure. Purity of chitta is a must for anyone who is trying to undertake meditative exercise to go inside incisively in the inward journey. So a greedy person, a jealous person, an angry person, none of them can meditate. These days, anybody gets up and starts meditating. It is cheating yourself. It is not possible. Not even a minute, seconds meditation is possible if chitta is not pure. The one who has a pure chitta then tries to observe the mind. When you are sitting in thinking mode before meditation, you realize that your mind is projected outside on only 5 things. Patanjali Maharaj discovered that the tossing of mind only happens in 5 ways. Those 5 ways, 5 modifications are called vritti. Vrittaya, panchataya, klishta, aklishta. That is the sutra. Those 5 are pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smrutaya. Pramana, what is pramana? When you are in the external world, you use reasoning or logic to understand a thing. Viparyaya, misapprehension. Pramana is comprehension. Viparya is misapprehension, wrong knowledge. Viparyaya, then vikalpa is imagination. So mind is either trying to understand the things outside. For example, when we are awake, we understand that this is my shirt, this is my body, that is the table, I should not hit the table. This is called pramana. Misapprehension, oh, I saw the mirage and I saw it, I thought it is a water, but it was not water. Misapprehension. Vikalpa, imagination, you are sitting here, but actually your mind is hovering into, if there was a blue Ferrari with me, I could have gone there, etc. What is happening? You are not doing anything. You are not using your senses. You are using your mind only to imagine and go into different flights. So the mind can go there. That is also a vritti called vikalpa. When you are not doing any of these 3, then what you are doing? You're sleeping. Nidra. And that is deep sleep. And if you are not doing all these 4, then you are in smriti. What is smriti? You're sitting at one place and you are thinking, when I was small, that man gave me a tight slap. Now, if he comes across me, you are remembering what has happened to you. So the mind goes in 5 different ways, 5 vrittis: praman, viparya, vikalpa, nidra, and smriti. What the yogi does? The yogi, first of all, reduces or stops completely pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, and nidra. How does he do that? By first of all, sitting for meditation, you first shut off the external world. All the contacts with the outer world are stopped. Now there is no pramana. Why? You are not interacting with your 5 senses outside. The senses are temporarily closed. So pramana, that means understanding of the outer world, reasoning is gone. Comprehension is gone. Viparya, when there is no comprehension, there cannot be wrong comprehension. So viparya is gone. Sitting for meditation, don't imagine I'm sitting for meditation. Now that my mind is going to concentrate, oh my God, it is going again to that side. What is happening? Still the mind is playing the vritti. Stop doing that. The yogi stops that. He is fresh, he is on a Brahma Muhurta, so he already has his sleep. He is no more sleepy. He is very, very enthusiastic about the meditation because he's fresh. He's fresh from the sleep. So Nidra doesn't affect. Now what happened? Praman is gone. Viparya is gone. Vikalpa is gone. Nidra is gone. Only now one very indomitable enemy remains, that is Smriti. This is the Smriti that bothers us when we go for meditation. How does she bother us? Moment we sit in the meditation, the mind hovers to different subjects. You're sitting in meditation and suddenly you realize that yesterday in the office, when I was sitting in the chair, what happened? The mind went back to the memory of yesterday. So she plays with Smriti memories. And the yogi tries to get rid of this smriti as the last part. In other words, a yogi tries to get rid of all the five vrittis by doing what? By bringing that mind on one object and focusing on that. This particular focusing on one object is called sanyama. Now let us say I have a shaligram or the Bhagavan Vishnu's murti in front of me. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my mind antakarna into that murti. So the mind is now seeing the murti and I'm just thinking about Narayana. What can I think about Narayana? There is nothing to think about Narayana except that it is Narayana. Is there anything that you can think of Narayana? Narayana came yesterday and he did not talk to me. No, because he hasn't spoken to me. I have my relationship with Narayana is what? Only Shraddha that he is a God. Other than that, I have no interaction with him. So it does not create any vikalpa in the mind when I see the murti. Yes, the mind may create a vikalp like this murti of Narayana is different than that murti which you had seen, but that is again what? Smriti. So when I say Narayana or any item of focus, even a crystal, and I'm focusing on it, the mind is brought to that particular focus point through sanyama. Naturally, if you are intently listening to what I'm talking, naturally you have forgotten something around you. If you're listening, that means your ears are on the words that I'm speaking. Because you are focusing on what I'm speaking, you're automatically forgetting what is around you. For the moment, you are definitely forgetting your office. For the moment, you are definitely forgetting your wife. For the moment, you are definitely forgetting your dress, what you are wearing today, because that thought hasn't come to you because you are listening intently. That means you are concentrating, focusing on one object. This focusing on one object, which is called sanyama on one object, is the cornerstone or the key in Yoga Shastra. Why there is a focus? Why there is so much importance given in the Yoga Shastra on this particular focus? That we need to understand. Whenever we take any object and when we focus intently on that particular object, the object slowly starts opening up. Now, normally, if you take a stone idol in front of you, it doesn't mean that it breaks into two parts. It opens up means from the concept that I have in mind that it is a idol made up of stone, now it starts traversing inside. And as if you take a seed, a bija of anything, any bija, it will have layers. So you remove the outer layer of the bija, there is an inner thing. Again, you remove that, there is something inside. So the way a seed can be opened up layer wise, when you concentrate on any object, the object starts opening up layer wise. And this opening up of layer wise of an object happens as if a seed is opened up layer by layer, but you need a seed in front of you. You need an object in front of you. That is why this samadhi is called Sabija Samadhi. Sabija Samadhi. Now the question is, when I'm in the world, I use my brain, intellect. We say, no, I'm an intelligent person. So you use your brain while driving, while working in the office. That particular intellect, that particular buddhi is a vyavaharika buddhi. It is considered as an ordinary buddhi. When you want to focus on an object, you require a different, not kind of buddhi, but different level of buddhi. Normally, when you interact in the world, you use buddhi. But the sharp, penetrating, powerful buddhi that you require, which you have acquired because of chitta shuddhi, is called prajna. Remember, when you are tackling meditation or concentration or sanyama on an object, you are slowly entering into the realms where sense organs have no role to play. Now you are going to go to higher realms where the sense organs will not play any role. There are no eyes, no ears, no touch, no smelling. Then what is happening? There is comprehension, perception, understanding, whatever you may call, is happening by only buddhi. But that buddhi is not ordinary buddhi. It is a sharp, penetrating, absolutely focusing buddhi, tivra kushagra buddhi called prajna. That is why the new revelations, new openings that come after meditation are called revelations made possible by the help of prajna. That is called samprajnat. With the help of prajna, samprajnat. And ordinarily in the world, you attend to a thing. In meditation, you focus on the thing, sanyama on the vastu, and that is why it is called samadhi. So samprajnat samadhi is a samadhi that uses special, trained, powerful, penetrating intellect called prajna, which uses a particular object in front of it, which is called bija. So it is a sabija samprajnata samadhi. I believe this much is clear to us. Once samprajnat samadhi is clear to us, then we come to a very basic understanding whenever you focus on an object. The fundamental principle of meditation or concentration are, if two things are related as cause and effect, if two things are related to cause as cause and effect, then by focusing on effect, you can come to know the cause. Karya, Karana. So I am taking in front of me what? A stone idol. What is a stone idol? Karya, effect. By focusing on the effect, what is the cause of a stone? The cause of stone is Pancha Mahabhuta. What is the cause of Pancha Mahabhuta? Tanmatra. What is the cause of Tanmatra? Trigunas. What is the cause of Trigunas? Prakruti. What is the cause of Prakruti? Purusha. That means by focusing on the effect, I can come to know the cause. This is the relation why we focus on an object in meditation. So this is first fundamental principle. Second principle is, if any phenomena leaves the impression on any medium, when any phenomena leaves an impression on any medium, then it is possible to revive that impression and call back the phenomena. Now let me explain what I said. Suppose I saw one fight in the street. What happens? I see the fight, watch it for some time, and I leave. Now what I'm carrying with me, the impression of that particular fight is on my mind. That is called samskara. Now later on, after 10 years also, I can narrate the story that, once I was there and I tell you there was such a big fight. Actually, the fight is not happening. What you did, you recalled the fight by calling back the impression, samskara. That means by recalling the samskaras, phenomena can be recalled. What is the significance of this? The significance is the whole world is nothing else but the impression on the mind of tons of things which have come to me because of some samskara. I will come to know the phenomena behind this impression. This is the second principle. Third principle is, if try to understand the principle of meditation. If I am made up of Pancha Mahabhuta, the objects are made up of Pancha Mahabhuta, then by focusing any one particular aspect of this Pancha Mahabhuta anywhere, I can definitely recall the principle. What it means is, there are specialized areas where the Pancha Mahabhuta is a specific manifestation. I'll give you an example. Somewhere on the right side of is called heart, not the anatomical heart, the heart of a yogi, the Ruddesha. The Ruddesha is on the right side. There is a Hridaya Pundarikaksha, the lotus-shaped heart. You cannot show it anatomically, but this is found in the higher realms of consciousness. These are certain focus areas where, if you are able to concentrate on those areas, it will open up what is there, which is nothing else but Hridaya Pundarikaksha or Hridaya Pundarika, the thumb-sized Jyoti, as they say in Hatha Yoga. What is thumb-sized Jyoti? Why don't they say that there is a thumb-sized Jyoti in your foot? No, they say thumb-sized Jyoti in Angushta Matra Jyoti in the heart. Even Kathopanishad mentions it. These are specialized, specific areas where, by focusing your intellect or prajna on that, it is possible to know the phenomena behind that particular Jyoti. These are some shortcuts to reach the higher realms of consciousness. Yogi in the beginning starts focusing by taking an object in front of it. But as he becomes expert in concentration, he does not require the object. Then whereupon he will concentrate? He will concentrate upon the new knowledge that he receives in the higher realms of consciousness. When I focus on the idol of Narayana, initially I see Bhagavan Sri Ram or Narayana's Murti in front of me. I see the nose, the bow, the arrow, the beautiful color of Bhagavan Sri Rama, his feet, his hands. But as I go deeper into the concentration, the external features of Bhagavan Sri Ram and the Murti are gone. Now I am moving forward with the impressions or with the illustrations that are happening in the higher realm of consciousness. As I go higher up, there is no Murti, but there are certain attributes I see. I try to focus on them. Now I see Panchamahabhutas in their true form. I am able to focus on those Panchamahabhutas. It requires enormous amount of concentration to move upwards. As I still move upwards, I also see my own faculties, indriyas. I can see them through the eye of the mind. I start focusing on the indriyas. I continue focusing on them. I go further. It's a very narrow tunnel, very difficult path to move forward. But I see there myself. I see there me as Asmita. This is where my I is standing. I start focusing on that. Now I see my Asmita is going. My I is leaving me. And when the I is leaving me, I shall not be aware of my body. I am there in the highest realm of consciousness where all existences have been transcended. So it is a process of moving from a gross object to the subtler or higher and higher planes. Once this is understood, then it is possible for us to understand what is Savitarka Sampradnyat Samadhi. In Savitarka Sampradnyat Samadhi, what we do is essentially we take an object and we come to know that all objects in the world are made up of only three things: Shabd, Jnana, Artha. All objects in the world are made up of three things: Shabd, Jnana, Artha. Right now, when I take the Murti of Bhagavan Sri Ram in front of me, Bhagavan Sri Ram is a word. There is a Murti of about half a feet in length. It has a shape. This is the Jnana that I have about the Murti. And the earth or the meaning of that Murti is in my mind. I describe it with attributes. If I eat mango, I say it was sweet. Sweet is a word to describe the attribute, what I felt. But actually what I felt is what I felt. That is artha. When you take any object of the world, it has three parts: Shabda, Artha, Jnana. And they are always intermixed. We are not able to separate these three. The Shabda gets intermingled with the Artha gets mixed with Jnana. So it is a mixed variety that comes in front of us. This mixing of three different things is called confusion. Fusion is mixing, con means with. Confusion means mixing of the real meaning is lost because three different aspects are mixed with each other and perceived. every single individual in this world except the jnani or the yogi, everyone sees all the objects in the world as intermix of shabda artha jnana. So what do you do in the first stage of concentration? It is called first stage, but it is a very difficult stage for people like us. The one who sits in concentration meditation with full concentration takes in front of him an object and tries to penetrate in the object with the help of sharper intellect called pradnya. When the buddhi matures into pradnya, it is possible for the pradnya to dissect the object into three different things: the shabda, the artha, the jnana. Try to understand this. It is very, very important practically as well as to understand the other sutras. Shabda Artha Jnana, how do you understand it? When I am focusing on Bhagavan Sri Rama's Murti, Bhagavan Sri Ram as the word is different. Sri Ram as a Jnana, that is, he was a Raja, he was a Dashratha's Putra, he killed so and so Ravana, and he is a god. This is a Jnana. And artha is the true sense of that particular object, but it is overshadowed by the other two. My aim is to know the real naked truth or the meaning of any object, but I am forbidden from understanding an object because it is clouded by Shabda and Jnana. So with the help of intellect, I try to trisect, separate the Shabda, Artha and Jnana. When with the great concentration, my concentration reaches a particular level, my buddhi, which is now called prajna, realizes the object as three separate things. I am clearly able to see the object as Shabda, Artha, and Jnana. I can see them, those three separately and not admixed or confused with each other. This ability of yogi to focus in a powerful manner, to trisect the object into Shabda, Artha, and Jnana is called Savitarka Sampradnyat Sabija Samadhi. Now the yogi has moved one step higher in the consciousness. Now the murti is no more murti. The idol in front, the object in front is no more an object, but it is an object that is bared open into three different things. The intellect clearly perceives Shabda separate, Artha separate, Jnana separate. A question may come to the mind. What is this meaning of separation? The separation can be indicated by Shabda, Artha, Jnana. The perceiving this separation is an anubhuti, experience. Experience cannot be told in words. When we say that every object is made up of protons and electrons, do we experience it? No. We understand it. Experiencing means we have to actually go and do the experiments and come to that conclusion through anubhava. Till that time, we understand. So right now, we can only understand Shabda Artha Jnana, but yogi experiences it. It is a state that comes only after focusing very strongly. After meditating in the deep aspect of meditation, the mind starts flowing upwards. in the upward movement of the mind, which is a focusing mind on the object, there you see that light. There you see the object clearly divided. Absolute clarity, you can see the word which has no meaning is separate. The jnana that I had so far about that as a murti, as Bhagavan Sri Ram, all that becomes one side. And the earth part, the earth part is called the consciousness in that object. Every object has consciousness. It is mixed with impressions of nama and rupa. Now, with the help of concentration, I'm able to separate the nama and the rupa from the consciousness, and the consciousness is felt. You can also see that the consciousness is seen. There's nothing to see there, but something to perceive. The yogi then experiences the consciousness which is separate from the nam and the rupa. Now, the object of meditation is no more a murti or a shaligram or a Sri Ram. The object is consciousness. The consciousness in the yogi or the meditator has moved to the object and its consciousness, and the consciousness of object and the consciousness of subject have seen each other. They have not yet mixed. They have not yet become one, but they have seen each other. The husband and the wife have come opposite each other. They haven't become one. The Shiva and the Shakti, the consciousness Chaitanya in me, and the Chaitanya object, the Chaitanya in the object is seen by me. Confrontation, juxtaposition. Now I know that the object is not an object, but consciousness. That is called artha. The real meaning, the true naked meaning of an object is now known to me. And I have a choice whether to take the shabda, the jnana, or the earth. This is a choice. This separation gives me an opportunity to choose. That is why it is called sa vitarka. Vitarka is I can logically, as if I can logically guess between the three, amongst the three. Shabda, Jnana, Artha. My consciousness, my Chaitanya of meditator, coming directly in confrontation with consciousness of the object. If I still keep on concentrating further, the consciousness now starts moving from the meditator into the consciousness of the object. Here goes the consciousness from the meditator. Starts slowly flowing into the object. What is happening is the subject is losing the consciousness, losing in consciousness of the object. So the Chaitanya of Dhyata, the meditator, is moving towards the Chaitanya of Dheya. When I was an observer, I was the one who was meditating, but the meditator itself is now getting transferred to the object. What will happen? Then the three aspects, Shabda, Jnana, Artha, are dissolved. The consciousness becomes one, and because the consciousness or the Chaitanya of the observer has been transferred to the object is fully illuminated. The Purna Jnana of the object is obtained. Now there is no confusion in the mind about Shabda Jnana Artha. Now the consciousness of object is completely filled. The mind, Antakarna, it is my Antakarna, but it is no more mine because it is poured into that particular object's consciousness, and the object is completely known. This is called Nirvitarka Sampradnyat Sabija Samadhi. This is a higher level of consciousness. The yogi stays in that state, completely immersed. Now, since my consciousness is poured into the consciousness of the object, my awareness becomes almost zero, swarupa shunyata. My own awareness becomes so less. That is why when a yogi sits in dhyanam, he is not aware now how much time has passed. He continues to be immersed into the consciousness of the object. Till the time this particular transfer of consciousness is disturbed and the consciousness comes back into the mind, he continues to be in the state of meditation. 1 hour, 1 day, few days. Then when the body requires something, when somebody touches the body, or somebody said something in the ear, then the consciousness is brought back from the object into the subject and the person becomes aware. Whenever normally a yogi gets dissolved into the consciousness, some Harinama Uchchar or the mantra is said into the ear to bring him back to the consciousness, which was commonly done for Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. So easily he is to get absorbed into the consciousness that he has to be brought back, because couple of hours would pass by. So someone would utter some mantra in the ear to bring him back. That is the meaning of 42nd Sutra, Tatra, in that higher realm of consciousness, Shabda Artha Jnana Vikalpaihi Sankirna Savitarka Samapatti. The utter focusing or the concentration, Samapatti, in that realm of consciousness brings the complete separation between Shabda, Artha and Jnana. At a later stage, as you move forward, then what happens? Then comes complete dissolution of these three distinctive features of an object, and you enter into what is called Nirvitarka Sampradnyat Samadhi. To enter into this kind of consciousness level, mind well, the external world has to be completely shut off. But more important is the memory, the smritis have to be completely wiped out for a temporary period. For a temporary period, memory should not play upon antakarana. Otherwise, this samadhi is not possible. That is why smruti parishuddhau, that means bereft of smruti, cleaned of smruti, cleared of smruti, any memory, swarupa shunya, because my consciousness is going into the consciousness of object. So my own swarupa almost become almost, because swarupa shunya eva, that word eva means almost. Artha nirbhasa, because now only the earth, the real meaning of the object gets illuminated in the mind like a shining object, nirbhasa. That is called nirvitarka. That is 43rd Sutra. Two important sutras we saw, 42nd and 43rd, explaining what is nirvitarka sampradnyat sabija samadhi and savitarka sampradnyat sabija samadhi. Once this is understood, higher realms can be understood better, because after savitarka sampradnyat samadhi, yogi does not take any external object for meditation. Now he is expert. He starts meditating on inner objects. Inner means objects of the body, parts of the body. And those are not anatomical parts. Those are almost theoretical parts for us, but not for the yogi. Because if you want to focus on your own mind, imagine the mind is focusing on own mind. It sounds ridiculous. But for a yogi, it is not so. The reason is these things are possible only when you go into the higher realms of consciousness. The process of moving into higher realms is what we are studying. In these two sutras, Patanjali Maharaj has tried to show us that in meditation, from where you start and where you go. Mind well, we are still miles away from the samadhi that we are normally heard of, which is called nirbija samadhi or dharma megha samadhi. That is still far off. We are still trying to describe the movement of yogi's mind higher and higher, how it moves. Hari Om. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari Om Sanjay ji. We'll wait and see if any sadhaks have any clarifications. Thank you for such beautiful practical explanation.
Sanjay ji, just the words here are similar. I'm just trying to understand whether they're similar to what even the Buddhist texts very often refer. Like the prajna here is it insight or is it the process of focusing the buddhi? One is the attempt and the other is the outcome. So just a little clarification on prajna.
It is neither an attempt or nor an outcome. It is an instrument.
Okay.
In the process, when we are going inside into the higher realms of consciousness, when you say, I am going into higher realms of consciousness, who is going? Who is traveling? The traveling aspect is nothing else but the intellect. Then the question is, why a normal person not able to do it? Because normal person has an intellect which is not refined. So it is called buddhi. Once the refinement comes, its penetrating power automatically proposes you to move upwards. Because now the same buddhi is transformed. It is like a sword which was so far not used, so it was rusted. A rusted sword would be still useful to do some small work, the way we use our buddhi in our this world. But now the sword has been taken and polished. Now it has got a very sharp edge. Now it is able to cut things that it was not able to cut earlier. Now the same sword has got a new name, prajna. Subsequently, This prajna also becomes very short because you're going into further higher realms. Then this becomes pratibha. Pratibha, because she has her own illumination. Because in all this process, we need to understand that there is somebody making some attempt to do something. That means there is a duality. There is something happening to somebody. As you go high up, a stage comes when the buddhi itself is no more required. Why? When you reach the destination, what will you call the legs? You will not call anything the legs because there are no more legs. Why? Legs are used for walking. The walking is over. So where does the leg go? They remain. Then what is the use of the legs? No use, because you have gone beyond the use of legs. Similarly, you move from normal, ordinary buddhi upwards with the help of buddhi, because buddhi is sattva guna, purna sattva guna. As you move up, the buddhi becomes sharper, brighter, takes different names. Buddhi to prajna, prajna to pratibha, pratibha to rutambara, and after rutambara, it doesn't remain. It's gone. Gone where? Because it is of no use. Why? Buddhi was trying to find out jnanam. Now you yourself have become jnanam. I was eating mango till the time mango was different. I was different. I became mango. Who will eat me now? Who will eat? Nobody. Why? I am the mango. That is the way the buddhi is taken. So it is basically an instrument. Hari Om.
And one other thing, sir, the shunya that you mentioned here, which is the swarupa shunya, where you lose
Yes.
consciousness of yourself because the object and your consciousness, they merged, right?
Yes.
Now, is this shunya got any reference to what the Buddhists refer as shunya? Or is
Yes. There is a difference in it. This is a swarupa shunyata. Swarupa shunyata means I constantly have the awareness about myself. Right now, when I'm talking to you, I know I am talking to you because it is ingrained in me that I am talking to you. What happens is, in a common experience in this world, we have seen that when we are passionately doing something, for some time we lose ourselves and say, "Main bhul gaya tha where I was." What happened was, for the moment, you forgot yourself. That means you were enjoying that thing, so you forgot. In this process, what happens is, because the consciousness is focusing on object so much, it forgets itself, forgets to the tune of a small thread is left. Not that you completely forget. If you completely forget, then your body also will go directly into the nirbija samadhi. That happens in nirbija samadhi. Here it is swarupa shunyata eva. Like means still some thread is left, so you know. You're aware, but to a minimal extent. You're only aware of what is happening. So you're aware that the object is getting illuminated. You are unaware of what is happening in the surroundings because you're cut off yourself. Only small thread remains. The shunya of Buddhism that they are talking about is the shunya that you get at the end. What they say, that if I lose myself, if my consciousness is slowly absorbed into everything, what will remain of me? They say nothing will remain of me. This nothingness is shunyavad by Buddhism. They say when your consciousness is completely merged into it, what is left of you? A void, shunya. But Advaita Vedanta doesn't say that. It says that shunya means nothing is left. And the Advaita Vedanta says when consciousness is completely merged, it is not that nothing is left. There is something positive about it. That positivity is Anandam. Satchit Anandam is still left. That Satchit Anandam is the Brahman. While the Buddhists say zero is the Brahman, Shunya is the Brahman, nothingness is the Brahman. So there is a negative connotation of the last stage by Buddhists, while Advaita has positive connotation of the last stage. It is not an empty valley, as Buddhists say. It is a valley filled with Satchit Ananda Swarup. It is a valley filled with an experience, because experience cannot be there. Anubhava is actually possible when there is a conditioning. So then what happens in Brahma when you become Brahma Bhuta? Or let us take example, what happened to Swami Chinmayananda Maharaj? What kind of experience he had? It is not an experience. Then what is it? It cannot be described, but it is a positive thing. While Buddhists say it cannot be described, but it is a shunya or a void or a negative connotation. That's the only difference between Buddhism and the Advaita Vedanta. Hari Om.
One last thing, Sanjay ji, you had mentioned, I cannot recollect, but very early, the stage above Shunyata also, because just a revision of that, which, in the yogic, where you're no longer part of the, I do recollect you mentioning that stage. Would you just revise that, if I can?
When as you move up, what is happening by all this so-called transfer of consciousness in the object, etc.? What is the aim behind it? The aim is to transcend the nama rupa, to transcend the objects. Instead of calling them as different objects and me as subject, I want to be expansive. And expansion is possible by spreading my consciousness all over, so that I reach the utmost level of consciousness. What is utmost level of consciousness? The one undivided Chaitanya Tattva or Brahma Tattva. Now what happens is, initially there is negation. Object you have to negate. Multiple objects you negate. Then Panchamahabhuta you negate. Then Tanmatra you negate. So you keep negating the divisions. First you negate smaller divisions, then larger divisions, then largest division. When you do the largest division negation, the last frontier, you sometimes feel, what after this? Because there's nothing left to negate. Imagine you are in darkness. You are going to go towards light. So as you go towards light, the darkness will become less, the light will become more. But there will be one point where darkness will suddenly disappear. Only light will remain. It is an arbitrary point, very difficult to decide. But it is a point where all of a sudden you look towards the world, but the vision has changed. Right now, we have a vision of the world. But as yogi, suppose we concentrate and we move forward and forward and forward and forward in consciousness, one fine moment in the meditation, intense meditation is going on, and that one moment which happened to Buddha under the tree, which happens to every yogi, all of a sudden the darkness vanishes. You cross the void, you cross the shunyam, because so far what you were doing, you were negating everything, you were making shunya of everything. But after doing shunya, suddenly you go into what is called as supra void positivity, which is called supra consciousness by Yogi Arvind. In that consciousness, everything becomes known, and you still bask in that supra consciousness. So you remain in the Brahma Pada. Outwardly, if you look at such a Jivan Mukta, he is eating his food. We can't even imagine that man who is eating his food is not a man, but he is the Brahman. This is the most surprising aspect, that the one who is whole universe and the whole world and Brahman is compacted in such a small murti called Vasudeva Krishna or Bhagavan Sri Ram. This is precisely the philosophical depth which Kabir Maharaj and people of his caliber describe in very few words. बूंद समाई सागर में जाने हर कोई, सागर समाया बूंद में जाने बिरला कोई. हरि